Yeah. One moment. Up to there. Okay, let me grab the Greg tweet as well. There we go. Right. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 21st of January. This is AI with Kyle. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be running through a guide, which has become very, very popular over on Twitter, because I think there's a huge amount of very actionable information that we can get from it. So this is a guide from Greg Eisenberg. If you don't know him, make sure you're following him. He's primarily on Twitter, and he's talking about an idea, I think a very powerful idea, of finding applications, apps on the telephone. So we're talking about iPhone apps, talking about Google apps, that people are buying, people are spending good money on, but that they hate. And then we're going to use something like Claude Code or some other vibe coding tool to very quickly replicate the functionality of that application and launch a better version, a cheaper version, a more advanced version, whatever it is. We are going to go into the market and we are going to blow people out of the water using vibe coding tools on applications that make money but are disliked. So I've put the whole guide in my newsletter this morning. I'll put it again in the newsletter again tomorrow so that you can get it. But this is the tweet, if you can see it on screen: how to make $10 million in 365 days with AI mobile apps. And he runs through the whole playbook about how you can create applications based off ideas that are already working but have been implemented poorly in the market. I'm going to run through the whole method today so that you have a clear picture of how you can do it. I'm also going to give you some alternatives for doing it for a lower cost than what Greg is talking about. He's talking about using Sensor Tower, very good place to get information, also not cheap. So I'm going to show you some alternatives for that as well. So this will all be written up and put in a guide, and I'll also make a page on my website about this as well, and it will be in the newsletter tomorrow. So make sure you are signed up. To do that, go to aiwithkyle.com, join the community here, and you'll be added to my newsletter and you'll get the full guide as well. I will also create a page on the website later today once I've completed all of this. But let's jump in and have a look at this method. Again, this is coming from Greg Eisenberg's tweet. I take no credit for coming up with this method. This is entirely Greg. I just want to elaborate on it, put it in a video format and bring it to more people because I think it's a fantastic idea. It's also something that I'm starting to do myself. So without further ado, how to make $10 million in 365 days with AI mobile apps. The exact playbook someone will use to make $10 million plus in 2026 rebuilding existing mobile apps. So we have had an app gold rush before. It happened maybe 10 years ago when the iTunes store, Google Play Store, that was the place where you could make $1 billion. You could go on there and you could build an application like Instagram. That's the very famous example. You could build up a user base and you could potentially sell to a company, or you could just generate huge amounts of cash by getting monthly recurring revenue coming through your application. Nowadays, most apps are subscriptions. For this reason, it is very, very lucrative. However, prior to a couple of months ago, probably a couple of months ago, this was tricky. You could have an idea, yeah, absolutely, but you would have to have either the money to hire a technical team, you'd have to have the technical know-how yourself to build applications, or you'd have to find a CTO or somebody who had those skills, and then you would split the company with them. All very doable, but a block to getting your basic version built. And just getting your basic version, your MVP, your proof of concept built, that's kind of the easy part. So you'd still have to do all the marketing, you'd still have to build the business after it. That technical block has been removed. That has been absolutely eradicated over the last year, especially in the last couple of months by Claude Code. We can now give an application, we can give screenshots of an application to Claude Code and say, hey, can you build this for me? And Claude Code will happily do it. So you can now rebuild pretty much any application, the interface, the functionality of it, for $20 a month, for $100 a month if you want a better version of Claude Code with more limits. So this has opened up a huge opportunity that I don't think many people are rushing into right now. But the game has basically shifted. So it's not about technical skill, it's about having an idea and then being able to market it very well. So Greg's tweet came out a few days ago, but interestingly, I had a very similar realization just, it was last week. I was trying to copy a URL from my telephone over to my Android TV. I needed to add some plugin on my Android TV, and I did not want to have to type using my remote control a big long URL that had an API key and a whole load of fuss, a massive amount of fuss. So I needed on my telephone an application that allowed me to copy and paste and send the information to my TV, my Android TV. Very, very simple. However, I went on the App Store, and this is the Google version, but the App Store was full of hundreds of these applications that allow you to talk to your TV. They allow you to use it as a remote, but they are complete and utter dog shit. There's no two ways around this, and there are hundreds of these applications, and they all follow the same predatory practice. If we look at the reviews here, if we go down here, 3.9, I think these 5 stars are probably fake. Works on my TV perfectly, no complaints, but the ads need to go. The phone got a freaking virus because there's no warning. They just pop up, I accidentally clicked it, and now I have a virus. Okay, scummy. It works as intended, but often pops up full screen ads while I'm in the middle of scrolling through channels. It's $5 a month. Ooh. The app works well, but the ads are ridiculous intrusive. I could understand a banner ad, but having to watch an ad before use and they pop up in the middle of button presses, so you're quickly pressing, for instance, to change the volume, the ad will pop up and then it takes you to the website. Gross. So if you look at these reviews, all of the recent reviews are things like this. A very bad app, it can't work. I suggest you don't download this app if you don't want to waste your time. Too much unnecessary ads. I am unhappy. Worst app I've used, way too many ads, blah, 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 blah. That said, this has 50 million downloads. 50 million downloads and 650,000 reviews. And this is not the only one. If you go around the App Store, if you go around Google Play, you'll see hundreds of these apps, all following the same crappy, shitty business model of providing the basics, giving you ads, gross ads, forcing you to click, or you pay $3, $5 a month for some kind of basic functionality. So I was trying to use an application like this on my telephone, could not find one, downloaded 4 or 5 applications. They were all the same thing, where it's like, okay, cool, oh, you want to copy a URL, fine, pay us. And I, out of spite, refused to do that. So I stopped watching, or I stopped doing what I was doing on the television, and I went to Claude Code and I said, build me an application that does this. And I gave it screenshots of these kind of apps. It wasn't this one, but one that was similar. There are so many of them. They're all the same. I gave it a bunch of screenshots and said, build this for me. I want it to work on my iPhone. Tell me how I get that done. Go. 15 minutes it took, and it built me an application. It told me to install Xcode, which I already had on my computer. Get it into Xcode, then into TestFlight. I got it on my on my telephone via TestFlight, and then was able to use it on my TV. Took about half an hour all the way through. So I was able to rebuild these piece of shit apps that follow predatory practices in half an hour. I did this for myself. I did this out of spite because I was annoyed with this, but there's a business opportunity there to come into this market and provide an app that is less gross. One that, again, this one has 50 million plus downloads and 4-star reviews. This one has 5 million downloads, 3-star reviews, and it's all the same. My son had to approve the purchase thinking it was a game, couldn't cancel, does not screencast, looking for a casting app, had to go to, like, horrible. The App Store and Google Play are full of these predatory pieces of shit, basically. And there is a huge opportunity for us now with Claude Code to provide better versions, ones that don't actively make people unhappy. One of those reviews we just saw was, I am unhappy. We can do better than that. So we're going to provide better versions. We are also going to be less gross in our business practices. We are going to provide better value. So if I was to recreate this and build a nice clean app, I'd get rid of the ads, and maybe I'd say you can pay me $1 if you want to support my work. Fine. If you get 50 million downloads on your fair and open app and a few people donate to you, fantastic, great, you're going to do very well. Or you can put some pricing in place that is less gross, like a one-time fee of a couple of dollars instead of $3 a month to use a remote control app. That's up to you. The business models come afterwards, but right now, the main thing is that we can now rebuild apps fast. And I'm talking about 20 minutes or a day if you want to polish it. We can build it really, really fast, and it's not going to cost us hundreds of thousands in development cost. It's not going to require us to learn Swift. It's not going to require getting in CTO. We can just build something, ship it. amazing. So I did this for myself and then saw this post from Greg. Again, I'll put it in the newsletter. But this is how you would take the idea from doing this for yourself out of spite to building this into an actual business and generating cash from it. So phase one, again, this is all from Greg. I'm just bringing it to the forefront and doing a live on it. Phase one, hunt for hated utility. So the one that I just told you about, the Google Play, I've lost it. The remote control app, an amazing example of this. It is an app that people are downloading in their tens of millions and they hate. And it has low reviews, but people are still paying for it. So we're going to find something like this. It doesn't have to be TV. You need to use your imagination here. But we're going to use a tool to help us find this idea. So what we're looking for, according to Greg, is something that has a monthly revenue of $50,000 to $200,000. Roughly, with a App Store rating of less than 4 stars. So we can use tools to do this. The one that Greg Eisenberg talks about is Sensor Tower. This is the kind of ultimate version of this. This is generally used by enterprises, it's used by app developers, it's used by people who are doing this as a large business. It's not cheap. It is not cheap to use, but this is going to give you the best data. I have not got a paid account for this. If I start doing this more aggressively, I will get myself a paid account. Right now, it is too expensive, and I'm not going to do that. We're talking hundreds of dollars a month. So there are a few others. There is AppArc. AppArc, terrible name. AppArc is free. I've actually tried to find if they have a paid version, but I can't seem to find it. So it says start free trial, but then there isn't any way to pay. So as far as I know, it's free. Let's put in TV remote, for example. So to follow on from what I was just talking about. So Trusted Pilot Solutions. Let's try this one here. This is an app store. So this is saying the revenue is $1,000 over the last 30 days. Downloads at 980. Let's look at some competitor apps and see if there's... here we go. So TV Remote Control Universal Plus from TVSmart.app has apparently grossed $30,000 in the last 30 days. So $1,000 a day. Pretty good. This one, apparently, Connect TV Remote is $190,000. Nearly $200,000 over the last 30 days. There's another one here, Remote for Roku TV. Again, $200,000. How accurate this information is, we do need to question, but we can start to use this to hone in on ideas. Obviously, if you use something like Sensor Tower, you're going to get more accurate information, but there's a cost to that. So I think for now, for your first one, just look for something using a free tool, just so you can get used to the idea. And then if you want to make a real run of this, go for Sensor Tower. So AppArc is one tool for doing this. The other one is Fox Data. So I've pulled up a TV remote control here. This is saying estimated downloads over the last 30 days is 100,000, estimated revenue over 100,000. Again, we have to be a little bit careful with the data. But interestingly, this says the reviews are more than 4, so 4.43. But if we look at the recent reviews, so this is 2 days ago, the 19th, the reviews are, you literally have to pay for it, 1 star. Too much lag, 2 star. You have to pay to use more than half the remote. You can't even change the volume without paying, 1 star. As soon as you press a button, it wants you to pay for the app. You won't be able to do anything, 1 star. Horrible app that make you pay to turn on your TV. Sorry, 1 star, etc. So what I think has happened here is they have purchased reviews early on to bump their score up. So they've got a lot of 5-star reviews by buying the reviews. But then if you look at the most recent reviews, they are all 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. So I think they're being a bit cheeky here. So again, this is another free version. It's Fox Data. So Fox Data and AppArc give you some information. Whether or not it's going to be as accurate, well, we know it's not going to be as accurate as Sensor Tower, but it will at least point you in the right direction, even if we don't have the exact numbers. That's fine. So that's what we're going to do. First step, we're going to find something that is making money, but people absolutely hate it. They hate the guts out of it. We are then going to look for why. they don't like it. So it's an audit. Why users are using 1-star reviews. Technical debt. It might be things like login loops. So maybe it's an app that people want to use it, but the developer hasn't touched it for the last 2 years. And therefore things have updated, the sounds have shifted, and it's become an absolute mess, and it doesn't really work anymore. But people are still trying to. They're still downloading it and being like, I really need this. I need this application, but it doesn't work. So that's one thing. Hostile user experience. I would say the TV remote ones fall inside of that. So it's making you pay for the basic features and then throwing up adverts and stuff. That's hostile. It's gross. And then value gap. This is okay. No, I'm actually going to ignore that for now. So what Greg talks about is don't go for the flashy things. Don't try to build the next Instagram. Don't try to build the next TikTok. Don't try to build an AI application necessarily. That's kind of the hot category right now that everyone's rushing into, the next AI photo generator or whatever like that. Don't do that. Do boring shit. Like, again, this TV remote, people are apparently, tens of thousands of people are downloading these applications. Here we go, $30,000. And this is a boring ass application. This is not hard to build, and it's very easy to replicate, but this is apparently getting downloaded by tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people per month. Very boring, very profitable if we go in and do a decent version of it. So we're going to focus on, here we go, utilities, productivity, professional tools. Don't build on APIs you don't control. So anything connecting to a social media API, for example, probably going to be messy. Again, with AI, if you're building an AI application, you're going to have to connect to the OpenAI or the Claude API. Again, you're just adding risk here. You kind of want to build something dull, like a calculator, but there's a billion calculator apps out there, but you want to build something that's just going to work and continue to work. Okay, copy what works and make it 10 times better. So that is the basic rule here. We are not trying to create the next Instagram. We're not trying to create $1 billion app. We'll be very happy with $10,000, $50,000 a month coming in from this. We're not trying to build $1 billion app. That's a different game, and that's not a game that we are deciding to play. Lyra says, glad to catch you. I'm Claude coding now. Lots of learning being done. We're talking about Claude Code today on the live, so hopefully this is relevant. If you're looking for a project to build, the basic idea of this live is to talk about replicating apps that are already out there, which are complete trash. And we can do that on Claude Code, because Claude Code can build for iPhone, it can build for Android, no problem at all. Good morning, thank you. This can help single parents make some money. Yeah, 100%. It can help a lot of us make some money. And again, this is not about building $1 billion business. This is not about building a $100 million business. If we could build something that gives us a few $1,000s, $10,000 a month, that's a life-changing amount of money for most people, including single mums, but most people. So I'm hoping this idea, which again is not mine, it's Greg Eisenberg's idea. I'm just elaborating more. I'm hoping this can help a bunch of us. Okay. So, I'm actually going to skip all of this. Now, I'm going to go back. I created that slide deck using Notebook LM, but I'm going to go back to Greg's post. I think it's probably a bit better. So first you find the applications. Boom. Let's say we found one. He gives an amazing example here of a person who created an application called Alarmy, which is a loud alarm clock. So basically, an alarm clock application on the iPhone, which is louder. That's it. That's that is the unique selling point. It's louder than the default app, and they have every month 500,000 downloads and make $500,000 a month by having a louder phone app. So don't overthink this. Don't think you need to create the next amazing $1 billion app. You do not. You need to create something that people will find useful. That's all. So then he says, 2, look for obvious missing features. Search for a single dev app, so something that's been made by one person. Remember back on here, let's pull it up, what we were just looking at. Let's see if I can find it. I could see a few of these applications were single people, and they were making good money. I saw a Vietnamese name. Where's he gone? Ah, there he is, Tan. Oh, a couple of... So we've got Tan Devo, who is apparently making $200,000 a month. And that's one dude. one guy in Vietnam. We've got another Vietnamese dude here, Tran Minh. He's only making $1,000 a month. But these are individuals. We've got a Johan here. That's an individual. Teknia Babak. Oh, he's not doing so well. But a few of these are by individual people. So that means that they've probably put an application together. Maybe it's making them good money, but it's not going to be a very sophisticated operation. It's probably just one dude, one person. Find tools where 50% of the revenue comes from one basic feature, and target apps still charging for features that should be free. So you're going to look through the applications. You can use Claude to help you with this. So maybe you get a bunch of these apps, you go onto their pages, you grab the app description, you throw all of the app descriptions into Claude, not Claude Code, but just Claude or ChatGPT, and you say, hey, I want to make an app like this. What's missing? What could we add? What could we get rid of? You could also throw in all of the reviews. Let's say you scrape the reviews, throw them into Claude or into ChatGPT and say, hey, what do people most hate about this that we can fix? And what do people like about this that we can build upon? So your level of sophistication are up to you at this point. Okay, and then what we're going to do, so spot the AI opportunities. So because we're going to build with AI, we can build AI into our workflow. And this is a special type of application where we can do really well. So we're looking for applications where, let's say, people have to upload information and it gets, there are stages of friction within the application and then it takes time for it to get done. We can actually do all of that with artificial intelligence much, much faster. So these are going to be the best opportunities. This is what Greg is saying. This is going to be a subset of a subset. So you don't need to actually build AI into your application. But if you can find an application that would be helped by AI, then absolutely add it in. In the example we're following of the universal TV remote control, I can't see a good reason to add artificial intelligence into this. I might be wrong, but I can't see anything off the top. So we're not going to add AI just for the sake of it. Same with this loud alarm clock. Again, adding AI for the sake of adding AI doesn't make sense to me there. But if there is an application which we can very quickly make better using AI, then we should absolutely do that. I'm thinking something like, what's it called? MyFitnessPal. So at the moment with MyFitnessPal, you need to, unless this has been updated, I haven't seen it for a year, you need to manually log what you're eating every day. So you go in, you're searching for it. So even a very simple speech to text would be helpful here, where you can just kind of pick it up and say, so I've had, 3 new potatoes, 500 grams of salmon, add some kind of béarnaise sauce. If you could talk to it and say what it is you've eaten, and it could break that up into the individual elements of your meal and then log them for you, even that would be a massive upgrade on what is right now a very manual process. MyFitnessPal may have added this, so tell me if anyone uses it and tell me. Or the ability to take a photo of your meal to describe the size and the weight of it, and then for it to be able to work out your calories and your macros from that. Again, that's something that AI is very good at, and it reduces the friction of using the application for the end user, because one of the problems with something like calorie counting in MyFitnessPal is that it's a bit of a ball ache, having to scan all your packages and describe what you're eating, etc., etc. If you could do that via text, rather than having to scroll through lists and picking out the right entry and then choosing how many grams, etc., I think that would be a lot easier if you could just speak to the application and the AI is able to pass out that information and make a better calorie counter. If nobody's done that, somebody steal that idea, because that sounds great. That sounds really good. So if you can do that, fantastic. I would say if you can't do that, or if AI doesn't fit, don't just squeeze it in for the sake of it. So I'm just scrolling through the rest of these. So what you're going to do now, he talks about distribution plays, but let's jump to rebuild. So we're going to rebuild. We will rebuild using Claude Code. You can 100% use other applications, but Claude Code is just going to make the job a lot easier. The key, as with all Claude Code work, is going to be in the planning. So you are going to first, before you even boot up Claude Code, I'd recommend talking to Claude or to ChatGPT and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I am trying to rebuild this application. You give it examples of the app, you copy and paste descriptions, you copy and paste some reviews, etc. You get everything in one place and you say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I want to rebuild this app. I want to relaunch it. I want to create a non-predatory version. I maybe want to add some AI features. And I want to disrupt this market. And it's going to help you work out that plan. You will also tell it what your end goal is. So you say, I'm going to be building this for the App Store, or I'm going to be building this for the Google Play Store. And that's going to tell Claude Code what languages it needs to work in, what frameworks it can use, etc., etc. And if you are not au fait with app development, also tell Claude that. Say, hey, this is the first time I've published an iPhone app. What are the steps required? And it will say, oh, okay, cool. You're going to need to download Xcode. You're going to need to do such and such. You need a developer account, etc. There is a cost there, by the way. I think a developer account, I think it's still $99 a year for App Store. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But you can also get a free account just for testing early on as well. And putting it onto TestFlight, which allows you to test it on your actual device. So you're going to do all of that, but Claude or ChatGPT can guide you through all of that. You're then going to build. You can either build in Claude Code directly. I've done other guides about how you can set up Claude Code, so I won't repeat myself here. Or I have not tested it yet. Let's do it. I have not tested it yet, but Manus 2 days ago have added the ability to build applications directly in Manus, and it uploads your apps directly to the Google Play and the App Store for you, which is very cool. So this will take away a lot of the logistical work of getting your app published. So you've built your mobile app in Manus, the logic is sound, the interface is clean, and you're at the most critical step, getting it into the hands of real users. This is where the real friction begins. The path from finished app to a shareable, testable build is a maze of packaging requirements, platform-specific configurations, and documentation that seems designed for seasoned mobile developers, not for product builders who want to move fast. This is a challenge we've heard from you. The creative work is done, but the logistical work of sharing it is a bottleneck. Yes, it's an absolute pain in the ass, especially on Apple. You're forced to switch from a creator mindset to a release engineer, spending hours or even days navigating the complexities of Google Play and Apple App Store just to get a test version out of the door. The feedback loop is slow and momentum is lost. Today we are introducing a better way with app sharing and testing in Manus. We're closing the gap between development feedback, turning a complex multi-day process into a streamlined guided workflow. So I have not tested this, but I will be doing so. Go and give it a go. But what it's going to do is prepare your app for Google Play, an AAB, and the Apple Store, an iOS build. So it will actually package everything up as you need. It will give you direct TestFlight integration. That's really useful. And then also give you testing workflows. So this sounds fantastic. I need to test it out, but I love Manus, and everything they release tends to be very good. So I would not be surprised if they've done a good job here. So that's another option. Also, I believe Replit has a publish to App Store. Here we go, publish apps. So you can deploy. They basically have a Is this it? Web apps all in publishing made early. I think I'm in the wrong. No, this is talking about their app. They have, I don't know where it is on their page, but they have the ability to publish to app as well. I'm sure all of the vibe coding tools will be adding it bit by bit. Something like Lovable builds primarily web apps, which are not the same as an app that lives on the iPhone or on the Android system, but I would not be that surprised if they are working on the ability to publish directly to the App Store as well. So the barriers are basically being removed. That said, a little bit of friction is not the end of the world for you. If you move first and you move fast on this, you can get into markets before it becomes too easy. We don't want it to be too easy because that reduces how much we can make from this. So I will put all of these notes into the newsletter tomorrow, along with the actual guide. I'm going to start doing this myself, probably starting with the app that I've created for the TV remote control, because I think there might be a play there, because there's so much trash out there. So just building something decent and putting out into the world, maybe there's some money to be made. If not, at least I'm going to make the world a better place by getting rid of all of this crap, because it really is heinous. If you can find something similar using the tools I've just shown you, so AppArc or Fox Data, or if you want to spend some money, Sensor Tower, I think there's a huge opportunity for you right now. And it's just going to require you to find that idea, to build it in Claude Code, or maybe in Manus, try it in Manus. And then obviously the hard part, the next part is going to be marketing it, getting it out to market. That is something I talk a lot more about over on my website. I can't go into it in detail now because that's a huge issue. But if you go to courses, aiwithkyle.com/courses, I have a whole course, free course, which is like a 10-part course, talking about finding your niche, building them in public. So starting to talk about what you're building, business ideas, vibe coding, building what people want. So that's where marketing starts. You start by building for them. You don't build and then ask them if they want it. You ask them what they want first and build it for them. Marketing, getting ready for revenue, so putting in payment options, and then how you grow by bootstrapping. Sales, because a lot of people don't like that, and then how you scale up from there. So that is all free and available on the website, aiwithkyle.com. And while you're there, make sure you join the community. We have an open community where we share an awful lot of resources on there. Oh, here we go. I've got a list of all the resources. So a huge amount of stuff is on there, because I write and film. So there's a lot of information there, and you can get that all directly on the website, aiwithkyle.com. All of what I've been talking about today, this guide, the step-by-step, the original guide from Greg Eisenberg, the slide deck, etc., I will put into the newsletter tomorrow, and I'll also build a page on AI with Kyle, so you can find it nice and easily as well. If you are looking for those kind of things, there's a resource page which has many resources all available for free for you as well. So hopefully that's been useful, and I'm hoping a few of you don't just think, oh, that's kind of a cool idea, I might do that. I'm hoping a handful of you will be like, yes, absolutely, I'm doing this right now, and you get on with it, because I think this is a huge opportunity that won't necessarily be around for that long, because it is going to get so much easier to publish on the App Store. And we are relatively early, but there will be a gold rush moment, I think, later this year when people realize, like, oh, hang on, there's a new App Store gold rush. You can get in there a little bit earlier than everyone else. And the first movers will be the people who get ranked in the App Store like this, and will be able to generate the cash that you see coming through these applications right now. So don't wait on this one if you are going to be doing it. I'm personally going for it immediately. I'm excited by the opportunity. So yeah, make sure you follow me on the lives and in the newsletter, where I'll be documenting that journey as well. Cool. I'm going to switch over to some questions. I know I've just been yapping for the last 30 minutes, but I'll cover some questions, and yeah, hopefully some of you will find this very useful. Let me scroll up through all of these questions. There are many here. Let me put it on this page while I'm here. Okay, so scrolling down. Gojin says, I was probably one of those who downloaded it and deleted it instantly. Yeah, in reference to these universal remote apps. Oh, absolutely astounding. If you don't believe me, go on your Apple Store right now, or your Google Store, and you'll see how much trash there is. And this is just remote controls. This would be the same for lots of applications. I saw another thing the other day. I've got this what's it called? A teleprompter from Elgato, and the hardware is great. Really good hardware. Absolutely trash software. So again, if you just think of things that you use on a daily basis where the software is awful, chances are you can just recreate it now using Claude Code really quickly, and it's not hard to create things in Claude Code. It sounds like I'm being facetious, but you literally copy in some screenshots, You copy in the description. If there's a sales page, grab the information from there because it will have a feature list. You give that all to Claude Code and say, hey, I want to make this. That's kind of it. And Claude Code will help you work out the plan for doing so. So it's not difficult to do. It's very, very simple. It's free and doesn't do any money except ads revenue. We need Claude Code prospector mode about time and money invested. Do you mean the these predatory apps? So they aren't free. They have paid versions. So they're free. If they're free, you get the adverts. Otherwise, you can pay. Let me find one of them. I saw they have the payment options. Or is it this site? You can pay, I think, I saw one that was $50 and you get a lifetime subscription. Here we go. So this one is annual premium is $40. Weekly premium is $7. Who would spend $7 a week on a... I guess that's for relative pricing. A yearly premium, I don't know what these different premiums are, or lifetime premium is $55. So you can pay for these. That removes the ads. But that is a lot of money for a remote control. And again, this is just one example. I'm hyper fixating on this because it's something that's been something that I've built. But you guys need to find your own ones in different niches. Timothy says, time to make predatory apps. Yeah, that's the other thing you could do. You could say, look at these people making all this money with predatory apps. That sounds great. Yeah, you could go that way. I hope you don't, but you could use this method to make predatory apps. True. Let's get some more Clash of Clans advertising pumped into our apps. Would the 30-minute vibe coded stuff pass App Store evaluation? Yeah, if it's simple, probably. If not, then you're going to work back and forward to Claude Code and get it sorted. So Manus, in particular, has testing workflows. So it's going to give you clear step-by-step guidance on how to invite internal and external testers for your iOS app through TestFlight, simplifying the process of getting your app to a wider audience for feedback. And if you look in this course, the free course, the 10-week course, I specifically talk about finding beta testers as early as possible and then building with your beta testers. So I think it's in here. Yeah, so it's about feedback. So once you get an MVP, you get feedback as soon as possible. I talk about how you find your first 10 testers from different circles, people you know personally, existing audience, relevant communities, etc. So that's all built in there. You need testers ideally as quickly as possible, because that's going to allow you to work out the kinks very, very quickly. I look like Ray Liotta's in Goodfellas. Do you know what it is? It's probably the eyebrows. Yeah, it's probably the eyebrows. I have a couple of videos that went like semi-viral on TikTok. I think one has 5 million views, a couple with 3 million views. Half of the comments are talking about my eyebrows, which was a weird realization, and getting DMs about my eyebrows. Like, okay. I trended on Brow Talk for a short amount of time. Very weird. Ram says, is this an alternative app store? No, these were just tools for doing market research on how much apps are making and how many downloads they have, etc. The ultimate version of this is something called Sensor Tower. Sensor Tower is not cheap, but it's going to have better data. But we just need to know if we're going in the right direction. We don't need to know the exact dollar amount. We just need to find niches and markets. So we can do it with the free versions for now. Nice stream, also down to earth talk. Thank you. I try to reduce the amount of BS in the world of AI because there's an awful lot of it. Oh, good morning, Marguerite. Good morning. Greg who? So Greg Eisenberg, it's mainly on Twitter. He talks about business ideas and in particular how we're in a really exciting time right now because we can use AI to go from an idea to a product in, I mean, I was going to say a day, but less than a day. We can build proof of concepts and minimum viability products basically instantly. He has a really good example of, you know how normally in a meeting, if you're in a meeting with your team, there'll be somebody who's taking notes. One thing he said is that's going to change, and instead of having a note taker, AI is going to take the notes. Instead of having a note taker, you'll have somebody who's vibing up the ideas, who is quickly spinning up prototypes of what people are discussing, so that everyone can then look at it and feel it and touch it and understand whether the idea has any real value or not, because we tend to get too wrapped up in our business ideas. This is not targeted at anyone because I get a lot of these messages, but every single day I generally have 2 people, 1 or 2, maybe 3 people who send me messages saying, hey, I've got a great idea. I think it's going to really work. I'd love to talk to you about how we can work on it together. To every single person who sends me that, I say, cool, send me the link. Send me the link so I can play around with it, so I can see it. 90% of people say, awkward. I haven't actually built it yet. Which is like the first hurdle now. Now it's so easy to build stuff that if you haven't built a prototype that you can show to somebody when you're telling them about your idea, that's not going to go anywhere. That is not going to go anywhere at all. Ideas are very cheap. Ideas have always been cheap. It's always been about implementation. But now, because we can go from an idea to a proof of concept, an idea to a minimum viability product in 10 minutes, 30 minutes, it's no longer acceptable to kind of just say to somebody, I've got a great idea, and expect them to trust you on that, or to go along with you on it. You need to build something, show it to them. The other great thing about actually building is that you can realize very quickly if your idea is any good. Because while an idea is in our head, we haven't had to struggle with how we actually implement it, how we actually turn it into something real. So it is kind of by default, it's going to be a very pure version of it. As soon as the rubber meets the road and we actually have to construct it and work out, what's that interface going to look like, or how are we going to do this kind of functionality, once we actually have to struggle with those problems and start to solve them, we might realize that our idea is quite weak. It's insufficient for this to be a good product. And at least we get there because we've actually built a basic version, and we can actually see that with our own eyes. So increasingly, if you have an idea, just build it and start to show it to people ASAP. Ideas have always been cheap, but they're basically worth nothing now, especially because we can spin up ideas using AI as well. So you need to go to the next step now. That's what we want. Stuff that's doable without a big team and zillions of dollars. Yes, 100%. So what we've just been talking about is making applications that are going to net $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month. So good money. If you are an individual, if you are 1 or 2 people, that's a lot of money. And you will be able to lead a very good life. However, that's the kind of revenue figures that for a large company, a large app development company is, or one of these billion-dollar unicorns, that's like joke money. They wouldn't bother moving into this kind of sector. But for us as individuals, if we're making an extra 10 grand a month from an application, great, fantastic, wonderful. That is a meaningful increase in an individual's income. So that's where using this method is going to make a lot of sense. You're going to create something that can generate this kind of revenue without necessarily needing a team of 20 people, without needing to constantly be updating it, etc., etc. So that's where this little niche works. We're not trying to build the next unicorn. We're not trying to build the next Instagram. We'll leave that to other people, and most of them will crash and burn. That's fine. They're very big aspirations. Instead, we're going to build something that puts food on our table and allows us to live a very good life. I think that is what's so exciting about AI, honestly. Claude is much better at code prompting than ChatGPT. Also, Codex is trash, broke everything. I mean, Claude is great. Claude is Claude Code right now is the best. I don't even want to call it a vibe coding tool. It's the best coding tool out there. There was the Node.js guy. I've forgotten his name. Increasingly, there's a kind of a realization that writing code is over. basically, and it's moving to higher levels of abstraction. So it's about architecting, it's about user flows, it's about working out and building what people actually want. So it's moving up the chain. But he says, Ryan Dahl. So this is a guy who created Node.js. This has been said 1,000 times before, but allow me to add my own voice. The era of humans writing code is over. Disturbing for those of us who identify as software engineers, but no less true. That's not to say software engineers don't have work to do, but writing syntax directly is not it. Yeah. So this is just yet another high-level software engineer, developer who's saying, okay, that's the ball game. We need to move up to the next levels of abstraction here. And Claude Code, I think, has been a turning point for a lot of people, and it is fantastic. And you can use it even if you are not a coder. I actually put together if we scroll down, I thought I put together a guide on it. Where's Claude Code? I create so much that I forget where it was. Let's see if it's here. Claude Code. No, I've forgotten where it is. There's a guide somewhere on here about how to get started with Claude Code. I just can't remember where it is. Is it in here? No. That's embarrassing. I think I've created it and not highlighted it on my on the website itself. Whoopsie daisy. Anyway, Claude Code's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Liva, can created code be moved into Manus? Great question. Yeah. The complication here is going to be your code is likely in different folders. It's already going to be in a structure. So you need to import your project as a whole. I'm not sure, but you might be able to upload a zip file to Manus. So that would allow you to give it along with the structure. But I don't know for sure. Just go and try it. I think that's the only way. See if you can bring it in. Alternatively, you could talk to whatever tool you're using and say, hey, I want to take this project over to Manus, another tool. So I need you to kind of flatten it all into one document for me so I can bring it over there so that it can reconstruct the project. It's a little messy, especially on a complex project, but that might work, maybe. No, it sounds really messy, actually. Go and play around in Manus and give it a shot, and I'd love to hear if it does work or not. Oh, wait. Stupid. Can you connect Manus to GitHub? Totally forgot about GitHub. I don't know. Let me see if I can make a project. Yes. Okay. There we go. Sorted. So we're going to connect to GitHub, and you connect to your existing project. So wherever you have built your tool already, make sure it's in a GitHub repository. For those of you who aren't sure what GitHub is, it's basically, okay, I'm going to get crucified for this, but it's basically cloud storage for your software project, sort of, and it keeps track of your different versions. So if you connect whatever tool you're using right now, be it Lovable, Claude Code, Replit, or whatever, to GitHub, you can then connect Manus to the same GitHub repository. Manus will be able to pull the code from there, and you'll be able to do the publish to App Store. So yeah, that would be the best way to do it, because moving the files over manually is going to be very messy. Very, very messy. How do you join the newsletter? That is just on aiwithkyle.com. Click on join the community. That will bring you to this page. It shows you all the other stuff that you get, and that is available here. That's free as well. You are overhyping vibe coding, in my opinion. What about maintenance? Yeah, so the thing we were talking about today specifically is create very simple utility apps that do not connect to APIs, ideally, do not connect to other services, but something that you can hopefully build and not worry about too much. So an example of the TV remotes, I looked into this. The Android TV kind of interface hasn't changed since 2020. So if they change that and how you liaise with that interface, yes, it would need to be updated. But if you're making $10,000 a month, if you're making $30,000 a month from it, you can either hire somebody to do that, or just go back to Claude Code and change it. But that, in this particular example, that interface hasn't changed in 6 years. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think vibe coding, what's exciting about it, if you are a coder, if you are a software engineer, if you're a developer, vibe coding is an absolute nightmare, and you have every right to hate it and to despise it and to say that it doesn't work and it's trash. 100%. I 100% understand that. If you're an entrepreneur or somebody who wants to build something, someone who has ideas, it's a godsend, because it allows you to create code, it allows you to create an MVP, minimum viability product, or a proof of concept, get it out into the market and see if people actually give a damn about what it is you're building. That's the bigger problem in business, is whether or not people care about what you've built. And currently, or up until a few months ago, people would spend months, if not years, building their product, release it out to the marketplace, realize that nobody gives a damn, and then they've wasted potentially tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, 6 months of their lives, building up something that is a flop. Now we can build something using vibe coding like that instantly, get out into the world, see if people want it, see if people care, and then go on from there. And you're talking about things like code maintenance. Yeah, sure. That's a lot easier to deal with once you have demand. You will be able to hire somebody, or you'll be able to buy in the service to maintain your code if that's required. But until you have people using it, until it becomes a problem, it's basically catastrophizing, thinking about all of the different problems that are going to happen down the line, instead of just getting started and just getting your idea out there. So for entrepreneurs, vibe coding is underhyped, if anything, honestly. Okay, I've got 2 questions here which are very similar. So Master CFC, what's the best path for somebody with no coding or tech experience to get into AI? And then I just saw another one. What about people with no programming or AI background? Can they still do this? So this is in reference to finding crappy applications online in the App Store, finding applications that have 3-star reviews but 50 million downloads, and replicating them. Yes, you can. So in terms of vibe coding, the easiest place to start is with something like Lovable. Lovable basically looks like ChatGPT. So it's a very easy to use interface, and it's good for spinning up prototypes, really good. Lovable is not ideal for this particular use case, because this is building a mobile application. And that's not really where Lovable excels. Lovable is really good at web apps, so things that live in your browser. That said, it's a good way to get started playing around with these tools. And then when you feel a bit more ready, you could start using Cursor, or you can use Claude Code. Also have a look at Manus though, because Manus are moving more and more into the app development space, and they have this kind of not one-click publishing, but they have a process to allow you to publish much easier. So it's still technical, it still requires some technical ability, but the barrier to entry and the level of technical capability required has dropped precipitously because of things like Claude Code. So what might have taken you years, decades to skill up to previously, you can now get a good deal of that way in a week or so using these tools. So I'm not saying there's zero technical ability. I'm not saying that there's zero learning required, but it is learning that could be acquired very, very quickly. Also, these tools are getting better and better. Claude Code is getting better and better, all of them. So it requires us to know less and less and less, which has its own problems, but if you're just trying to get started, it's fantastic. They need an App Store reset. Yeah, the App Store is going to be in a lot of trouble because of vibe coding like this. Because if it does get flooded with, one-click publish applications, Discovery is already a problem on the App Store and on the Google Play Store. But if we can now vibe code up something in half an hour, get it ready, get it verified for publish and publish it, that's going to have impact on the sheer volume of apps that are on the App Store, and more importantly for the user experience, discoverability. How do you find the good apps? So they're probably going to have to introduce some kind of AI-based discovery tools, AI-based verification, AI-based visibility, etc., because otherwise it's just going to get inundated. It would be a bit like Steam. Because Steam right now, it's hard to find anything. You need to use third-party applications to find the gems. I mean, the App Store's already like that, but AI is just going to speed that up even more. Is there a ChatGPT code mode incoming? There's been one for a while. It's called Codex. So if you go into ChatGPT, on the left-hand side, there's something called Codex. It's okay. it's fine. Oh, got a new little message here. It's perfectly fine. It's not as good as Claude Code, but it's okay. It's also built into ChatGPT, so if you already have a ChatGPT paid account, it's a good place to start. And again, you connect it to your GitHub repository, or you can put it into VS Code or into Cursor or wherever you want. But it is generally considered not as good as Claude Code, but it's still fine. It's perfectly fine. How much would you charge? I guess chat would help. Oh, so for your application, pricing is a huge question. I have a few courses specifically on that. I did a whole, when I did my MBA in New York, I did a whole course on pricing. So it's a huge question. I'll point you towards my newsletter and the various courses there, because I have lots of pricing resources in there. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. One is you undercut your competition. Don't generally recommend that, because that just becomes a race to the bottom, and as new entrants come in, everyone gets cheaper and cheaper until you go to zero. So it's generally not the way to go. Another is to go higher than your competitors and to provide premium service, and in a weird way, by being the highest priced version, there's a psychological bump that people think, oh, it's expensive, it must be good, which is not necessarily true. Then there are different forms of pricing. So a lot of the App Store apps have subscriptions. They have subscriptions when they do not need subscriptions. Realistically, you need a subscription if you have ongoing costs for running that application. So if it's an AI app, for example, and it has AI inside of it, then there is actually an ongoing cost because you are paying the AI company for your API call. So that's kind of valid. With something like the ones we were looking at, these remote control apps, they've built it once and that's it. There's no additional cost for them to provide this app to more people. So them charging a subscription is just taking the piss. So in that case, I would come into the market and remove the subscription and instead say, it's $5 for lifetime and you'll never need to pay for it again and you're done. So that is not about changing the price. It's not going higher or lower. That's about changing the format of the price. So instead of a subscription, it's going to be a one-off, for example. But there are many ways to slice this, depending on what value you're providing and depending on what your competitors are doing as well. When in doubt, one way to do this is you start low and you just increase your prices. This is what I do with most of my things. So I'll start low and then keep increasing the prices and find where the resistance is. So I might have something that's £500. I find lots of people are buying it at £500, so I move it up to £750. I find the same number of people are still buying it. It's like, okay, cool, let's try 1,000. Same number, okay. Get to 1,500 and maybe we start to see people say, oh, asking more questions, or there's a bit more resistance, it requires more of a sales process. So then we know, okay, there's a bit of a resistance here. So we might go to 2,000, see if that works. If not, we'll come back to that resistance level. But it's an art and a science working out the price based on your own costs, the value provided, how much the competitors charge, the psychological elements for your customers, etc., etc., etc. So it's hard to give a simple answer, I'm afraid. Can Claude Code help for an app that pulls data from other websites and public data? Yes. So it will build a scraper. So you can either have it build a scraper for you, or you can connect it into a scraper service like Apify. So get web data, build automation. So here you go. This just is a front page here. It has like an Instagram scraper, an Amazon scraper, Google Maps scraper, TikTok scraper, website scraper, etc. So Apify has built these little agents for you already. You can build them yourself. There's various like libraries, I think like Puppeteer, for example. I think Puppeteer. I should know this. I've built stuff with it. I wish I could spell. Puppeteer, Headless Chrome, browser automation. So yeah, you can use this for scraping. The only reason why you might not want to do that yourself is it's a bit of a ball ache. Frankly, building your own scraper, you need to work out how to make sure it's undetected. So if you are coming from the same IP address, the same location, it will get detected, because they'll be like, well, why is this IP address sending 50,000 requests? Bam, you're banned. Or if it exhibits non-human-like behavior, bam, it'll get banned. So it's just a bit of a pain building your own scraper, depending on what you're trying to scrape. So using something like Apify allows you to basically offload that pain to the people who have built these. So like this Instagram scraper, for example, can I click on this? This is, doesn't say how much it is, but generally they'll be like, here we go. The scraper is pay per result pricing model. It will cost you $2.30 to scrape 1,000 Instagram comments. So that is 0.0023 per comment, for example. So instead of spending days building your own scraper, hitting into walls, you could probably just use an Apify scraper. So if you are using Claude, you would say, hey, Claude, I'm setting up a scraper using Apify. Here are the details. You need to connect to Apify, and this is the scraper that we're going to be using. And then Claude Code would be able to work out the rest for you. So that's how you access public websites. I would say that so scraping is definitely a grey area. Some websites you are not allowed to scrape. It's against their terms of service. Some are public. If it's a public site, you're fine. Often fully public sites will just have a way to download it. So like Wikipedia, for example, you can just download Wikipedia and then give it to Claude Code directly. But if you do need to scrape, yeah, go for Apify. Claude is good, but it doesn't do phone apps. Yep, it can do phone apps. Just say at the beginning, this is what we're doing. Claude Code specifically. I use Antigravity from Google. You get both Claude and Gemini. Yes, Antigravity. So if you want to get into vibe coding and don't want to spend any money, then right now Antigravity is the best way to do that, because it has the fantastic price, a price of $0 per month, which is it's hard to beat. So the reason for this is it's a new product from Google. They released it in, I want to say, December, and they're trying to get some adoption on it. So right now it's free, and that gives you access to Gemini 3 Pro, Claude Sonnet and Opus 4.5. Opus is the best model, and GPT OSS, the open source ChatGPT, which is, it's fine. So there will be some limits to how much you can use each day, but it's free, so like it's kind of hard to argue with free. So Antigravity is great if you want to get started for free. Some people can't write code. Nope, that's fine. You don't need to anymore, thankfully. That's what vibe coding is. And why it's so exciting. I had not even seen code until last November. This is Lyra. Now I go and change things directly with directions. Yeah. So Lyra has been coming to my streams for, I guess, the last few months, Lyra. Is that right? And I keep saying, go and use Lovable or go and use Claude Code. And Lyra's been doing that. And as she says, had not even seen code until last November, and now is able to manipulate code, able to build things. That's what is happening with artificial intelligence right now, which is super, super exciting, is that now anyone who has an idea, anyone who has something that they want to build can just do that. Will it be as good as a software engineer that has 10 years of experience? No. Does that matter? Not as much as people think. So it's a very, very exciting time. Is Lovable better at code than ChatGPT? No, but what Lovable gives you. So the difference between a vibe coding app and just using ChatGPT is that it gives you an interface where you can preview what you're looking at, your application. You can play around with it. What it's doing is not just creating the code, but it is helping you to deploy it as well, and it's helping you to test it. Because the first time you generate some code, that's fine. You could do it in ChatGPT, you could do it in Claude, you could do it in whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just going to give you a bunch of code. All the work though is in testing out what you've built and then going back and forward with the vibe coding tool to say, actually we need to move these around, or this functionality doesn't work, or the way that you've built this tool is incorrect because of XYZ. That's where all the work is. The first generation is, it's just the starting point. So a tool like Lovable, a tool like Cursor, Claude Code, etc., that it will also deploy your code. It will either deploy it on your computer, something called localhost, or in the case of Lovable, it kind of deploys it on their servers, but you can see it all visibly. And that allows you to tinker around with what you've built and to provide feedback. So Lovable is better than ChatGPT in that it provides that interface for actually working with the code, which is 80-90% of it. ChatGPT can help you with that first code generation, but then you need to get it into your own local host server, etc. You need to deploy it, which is 100% doable. It's just a lot more friction than using a tool like Lovable. ChatGPT is rubbish. Lyra says, personally, yes, it's created me 2 apps really easily. Fantastic. And now you've moved to Claude Code. Claude Code is really good. Claude Code is, there's more of a learning curve. It's harder to get up and running, but once you've started using it, it's like, oh, yeah, this is really good. Is it good to make a religious app? Is it too sensitive? No, it should be able to. I think it was Marcin. Marcin did a TikTok on this. He found somebody who'd made I think it was a Bible. It would give you daily Bible quotes, basically. Can I search on his page? Go away. I'm not sure if I'll be able to find it, but they were doing great numbers with it, and it would basically give you a daily. I don't see it. Let's see if I can search for it. Let's do Marcin AI Bible. It should pop up. Here we go. Okay, no, he calls it a $50,000 Jesus app. Sure. Bible note. Everyone's chasing viral AI apps. Meanwhile, boring faith-based apps are quietly doing 50k a month. This one doesn't rely on trends. It monetizes habits, belief, and commitment. The strongest forces on earth. No huge audience, no crazy tech, one painful problem. This is how app business is built. Okay, so I'm slightly wrong. This is an existing app called Bible Note. He's saying this is something you could replicate using AI very, very quickly. So yes, 100% you could build a religious app, and if depending on what religion, obviously, but you could bring in the text of your religion as well. If it's the Bible, obviously that is public domain. I'm sure it's public domain by now, so you'd be able to bring that in and use that freely as well. And I think Wikimedia has copies. Well, it's not. What am I talking about? It's not hard to find a copy of the Bible, is it? Oh, I'm gonna have to do a capture. Do I have to do a capture? Normally TikTok starts screaming at me to do a capture. A religious app could work. Yeah, the Bible is open source. If you're using the Bible, obviously. Does Claude Code work well with Replit? I don't think so. Well, no, not Claude Code. I think Replit uses Claude under the hood, but not Claude Code specifically. Correct me if I'm wrong if somebody knows, though. I use Codex with VS Code. So for those of you who don't know what that means, Codex is a large language model. It's a coding agent from ChatGPT, OpenAI. VS Code is a development environment. It's a piece of software that lives on our computer, which allows us to see our folder, to see our code, to have a chat panel that we're talking to. So it just gives us a nicer interface to work with. And VS Code is free. You can download that. What I personally do is I have Cursor, which is a version of VS Code, a fork of VS Code, and I run Claude Code inside of Cursor. It gets very confusing because we have Codex, Claude, Cursor, Composer. That is Cursor's own large language model. We have a lot of C-based tools, which makes it confusing to talk about. But running a model inside of a development environment like VS Code or like Cursor means you kind of have the best of both worlds. You can bring in your agent, but you can also see all your files, you can see the code. It gives you a nice interface to work in. That's how I personally do it as well. Your camera is so crisp. Thank you. It's Sony something or another, and it's going through my computer. It's a mess. Don't ask him what moisturizer he uses. I don't use moisturizer. It's not a very exciting answer, I'm afraid. Claude Code is better, but I'm used to Codex. I say prompting with precision is important. Yes. So as with all things, you still need to prompt well. Prompting is primarily and increasingly just about clear communication. It's about being able to get an idea from your head and communicate it well to the artificial intelligence. And the better you get at that skill, at communication, the better results you'll get out of your AI. And that is regardless whether you're using whether you're using Claude, whether you're using Codex, whether you're using ChatGPT, like whatever you're using, your ability to communicate what it is you want is going to determine what successes you have. It seems like ChatGPT are getting it wrong more often these days. It shouldn't be. Hallucinations are down across the board. Plus, now that search is pretty much automatically used, it will source its information a lot more. Can Apify scrape metrics from TikTok? Yes, it can. So if you go into Apify and you search TikTok, it will give you a list of 100 different actors. So that's what they call their agents. And they will scrape different elements of TikTok. So you can get comments, you can scrape posts. So if you're trying to build up an account, you can find all the other influencers in your area, scrape all of their videos, analyze the transcripts, look at how many views, how many likes, etc., the engagement, and then use that to work out what the most popular content is in your niche. So yeah, Apify can do some pretty cool stuff. Definitely feels like GPT is throttled. So that might be, if you're feeling that right now, it might be because GPT 5.3 is about to drop. And they tend to redistribute server resources just before a model drop. If it is dropping, it would be tomorrow, because they always drop on Thursdays. Are you concerned about using Gemini as your AI, thereby giving Google infinitely more data about you? I mean, Google have everything they need on me anyway. So I'm not too worried. I don't actually use Gemini that much. I think it's great. I use Nano Banana Pro because it's fantastic, but I don't use Gemini for coding. I don't use it as my daily driver either. I think it's great what they've done, and very exciting that we have a new entrant. We have more competition in the space. But for me, I'm not too worried. I think the data thing's a weird one. It sounds defeatist, but if I'm going to give my data to anyone, it's going to be Google. The reason for that is Google have a decent track record of not abusing that data too much. And they also haven't had massive breaches. So because they've been going for 20 years or so, and they have have not been too heinous with our data. I think they're one of the better companies in terms of data security, data privacy. I mean, obviously they're using it to advertise to us. That's where their money comes from. But they haven't been too gross about it. Gosh, that's maybe a little bit defeatist. I think they're reducing capacity to free up GPUs for training a new model. They're risking having a worse model now to try to catch up with Claude. Yeah, they've been on the back foot, especially in coding and especially because of Claude. Funnily enough, a lot of people still don't use Claude. I mean, I know we're watching this live. Obviously, you're people who pay attention to what's going on in AI. If you go out into the street and talk to people about Claude, they have no idea what that is. People do not know what Claude is. They know what Gemini is increasingly, but Claude is still a very, very niche subject. And it's mainly people in software development and coding who are really interested in it. That said, it's beaten the crap off absolutely every other model, because Anthropic have just been quietly beavering away, making the best models. And it shows. They're fantastic. Or they've been hiding the abuse of data really well. Yeah, but they've been around for so long that the longer you stay in the game and don't F up too much, the higher the chance of the future security of that data as well. Surely Appify will get blocked on TikTok. Impossible to build an app off their metrics. No, Appify has been going for years. So what happens with Appify is sometimes the individual actors get blocked, but it's in the interest of whoever created that actor to make sure it gets unblocked ASAP, because otherwise they lose their revenue, because you're paying per usage of that actor. So what you do on Appify is you find the actors that have really high usage, really high reviews, like with anything, and they're going to be, let's see, TikTok scraper. Let's see if we can find some more. So this one, for example, has 120,000 total users, 6,000 monthly active users. They respond within 3.4 days to issues, 20 hours ago, last modified, etc. So you can see from this kind of information, all right, this is active. Or this one is actively maintained by Appify, so this is like a first-party one. So you can assume that these ones are going to be okay. That said, if you go through the marketplace, there's a lot of them that are will have far fewer users. These are all kind of the top ones here. So this one here is a DraftKings scraper. So you can extract comprehensive sports betting data. This only has 83 users and it has 1 review. So would you build an application on that is potentially going to break? No, probably not. You'd look for something that's going to be a bit more robust and a bit more reliable. So as with anything, it's just a bit of due diligence. Generally though, anything that has this maintained by Appify, there we go, the actor is maintained by Appify and we take full responsibility for it. That's going to be one that you know is going to have uptime, because Appify are staking their reputation on it. Vibe coding is a really good hype topic on smaller scale projects, but enterprise is mediocre still. Yep. As I've said multiple times on this stream, the thing that we've been looking at is an opportunity for entrepreneurs. It is not for software developers. It is not for people who have spent their lives coding. People in that position have every right to be annoyed about vibe coding, because suddenly the skill they've spent years, if not decades, honing has been democratized and it's been given to everyone else. So for entrepreneurs, this is a really exciting time. For software developers, it's shit. And I don't think there's any way around that. There's a fantastic, let me find her, a fantastic article on Substack by Alberta Tech, which you should all read, called Should We Hate Vibe Coders? So Alberta Tech is a developer, but she gives this wonderful example here. Imagine you've been training your entire life to be a violinist. Every day you show up to rehearse with a group of people who all had to pass 5 rounds of interviews to join the orchestra. Then one day, 700 people walk in off the streets into your rehearsal and claim they're vibe violinists. They break instruments, they sound horrible, they clutter up your Twitter feed with recordings of their work. You and your real violinist friends laugh and trade stories of how these people don't know the difference between the tailpiece and the fingerboard. But then one day, Not that many days later, something terrifying happens. You hear a beautiful tune and turn around to find a Vibe violinist playing it. And certainly you think to yourself, that shouldn't be possible without a foundational music education. That shouldn't be possible when they're not even holding the violin the right way. You listen a while longer until in a blink, they falter, they lose the melody. And so you turn back to your real violinist friends and you laugh at how these nincompoops thought they could play just like real violinists. You laugh, and all the while you feel a tingle of anxiety along your scalp. I've put this in my newsletter before, but Google it. It's Should We Hate Vibe Coders by Alberta Tech, basically talking about her feelings when it comes to vibe coders as a developer and the increasing realization that it's basically over and the job is going to be starting to conduct rather than being a violinist. So moving up and conducting. Here we go. It's also a future where you might end up being a vibe conductor of a vibe orchestra. So it is not about the syntax. It's not about knowing the code back to front. It's going to be about orchestrating and running the whole process and moving up levels of abstraction. So vibe coding is exciting if you are an entrepreneur, terrifying and life-changing if you are a coder. But that's where we are. I wonder how strong Apify are in Southeast Asia. What do you mean for scraping Southeast Asian websites? I'd have a look at the shop. There might be some stuff, but generally it can be used anywhere. If you mean can you use it in Southeast Asia, yeah, 100%. If you mean can it scrape Southeast Asian websites, probably if they're popular. It's going to be more based on how popular the site is, rather than the geographic location. So a lot of that is going to be American-based sites because they tend to have a lot more traffic, so it's worthwhile building scrapers. But I'm sure just if you have a look around the store, there'll be some stuff. Can it scrape paywall sites? Tricky. Not with ease. The only way you can do it is you provide the actor with your login details, but then on the side of the side of the site that's being scraped, they know that your user is going in and looking at 50,000 pages a day. So that's again going to flag abuse. That said, there are certain things like oh gosh, what's it called? Apollo. So Apollo has leads. You can get email addresses. You can put in. You can say like, okay, I'm looking for learning and development executives in tech companies in France. You can put in your requirements and it will give you a list of executives in those particular roles and then give you their email addresses, telephone numbers, etc. This is, what's it, let's say $80 per user per month. That gives you 50,000 credits, which is not quite 50,000. Oh, sorry, that's per year. So that's going to be 79. Let me put this in because it's important to know the price. So that's $1,000 and that will get you 50,000 credits, which I think is roughly 50,000 email addresses, but that's $1,000. So not that cheap. So this is paywalled. It's behind a wall, but there are Apify Apollo scrapers, which somehow just go in and get that information for you. I don't know how they're doing it. I assume they have access to an unlimited account and they're running the scraper on their unlimited account. I don't know, but this will go in and it will get a huge amount of leads for you for quite cheap. Let's look at the pricing. Much cheaper than actually signing up. $2 for 1,000 leads, for example. Oh, and that's that. That's for the free version, so it's cheaper if you get a paid version. So that is behind a paywall. So again, it depends on what you're trying to build. Just go and have a look around the Apify store and see what's what. That would be the main thing. Oh, I mean for TikTok users in Southeast Asia, yeah. I mean, I don't think that will make any difference. The trick would be like aligning your scraper to find people in a certain place, which you can do using language. So if you're looking for people in a certain country that speak a certain language, like if you want to get Indonesian users, for example, then Bahasa Indonesian would be a good target language because that's not really spoken outside. I'm not sure if you can do... Oh yeah, location of creation. That's an even better way. You can just say the country. So that will obviously be what they tag in their videos, which may or may not be correct. But yes, you can target using that. Righto, I've been talking for an hour and a half, which is much longer than I expected to. As mentioned, the guide itself will be on the newsletter. The newsletter is aiwithkyle.com. There is, I'll show it to you, we've bundled up all of the free resources. This no credit card, this is just free when you join the newsletter. So there's a 5-day AI challenge course, 100 plus playbooks, access to the live shows, a priority question answer in the daily newsletter. There's a membership community which is based in Circle. Got a few thousand people in there. Glossary, blah 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 blah, like a whole bunch of free things. If you just go to AI with Kyle, and then you'll find the ways to subscribe there. Make sure you do that. And then tomorrow, in tomorrow's newsletter, I will put the slides that we just talked about today. I will also link in Greg Eisenberg's full guide as well as these additional links for the tools we looked at, like AppArc and Fox Data. And also, if you fancy it, Sensor Tower, which is not cheap. I'll also include the Manus and all of the stuff that we've basically discussed. I will put into a newsletter so that you can go through it at your own leisure. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter over at aiwithkyle.com. Great. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a fantastic session, and I will see you tomorrow. Yes, I will see you tomorrow. Cheers, guys.